Здравейте, вие гледате предаването без формат. Темата на този епизод е НЛО и ядрените оръжия.
Hello and welcome to No Format. This week's edition is focused on UFO and nuclear weapons. Our guest is Captain Robert Salas. He graduated from the U.S. Air Force Academy. He also held positions at Martin Marietta and Rockwell, and has spent 21 years in the Air Force, where he was an air traffic controller and missile launch officer, as well as an engineer on the Titan III missiles. Salas testifies about a UFO incident in March 1967, when 10 nuclear missiles became non-operational at two different launch facilities.
What happened in Maelstrom Air Base in 1967? At that time you were missile launch officer for 10 nuclear warheads?
Yes, I was there as on a combat crew. We had control of 10 nuclear missiles, and sometime in the evening I was in command, and I received a phone call from my guards upstairs because we were underground. And he said that they were seeing strange lights in the sky, flying very fast and stopping and reversing course and making maneuvers that they didn't think aircraft could make. So I was not, didn't consider his comments seriously, I guess. And so I basically hung up the phone. And then he called back 5 minutes later, and this time he was very frightened, very scared, shouting into the phone, saying that he saw, he had his guards there, and they were seeing a oval-shaped orange-red object hovering just above the gate of our facility. And he was frightened. He wanted me to tell him what to do. What should he do? And so I said something like, make sure nothing comes in, use force if necessary, but we had to protect the weapons that we had. So he hung up the phone, and I went to tell my commander about this phone call. And as I was speaking to him, the missiles went into an inoperable condition, what we called no-go. They could not be launched, and we lost all 10 of them while this object was still above us. He reported this to the command post, and they told him the same thing had happened at another site, although it was a week earlier. But they also lost 10 missiles due to this object. So I report on this. And later we were told never to speak about this. And we actually had to sign a document stating that we would never talk about this publicly. The only reason I was able to eventually talk about it is because of a book that I picked up many years later, 1994, that talked about such an incident at Malmstrom in 1967. That's when I started inquiring to the Air Force, the U.S. Air Force, about documents they had about the incident. I didn't say anything about a UFO, but they started sending me documents and declassified the incident. And that's when I was able to publicly discuss it.
Mm-hmm. Could you give us some more information about the patrol that saw the lights, how they described them, what they saw actually?
They said it was very bright, about 40 feet, I don't know how many meters that is, but 40 feet long, just silently sitting above the gate to our facility.
How far?
So we're talking, the gate was about, I'd say about 10 or 12 feet high. So this would have been no noise, no sound.
Oh, and just like no object of some kind, some shape?
It was hard to see a shape, but the main guard told me later that it seemed oval shaped.
The light was like oval shaped.
Yes, there seemed to be some structure there, although it was so bright he couldn't.
Oh yeah.
He couldn't see very well.
Maybe.
Yeah, he couldn't see very well.
Mm-hmm. And this was seen by all the guards?
Yes.
How many were there?
6 guards.
6 guards. Mm-hmm. And did you get up there to
No.
see for yourself?
No, because we were locked in. We had to protect our missiles, so we could not leave to go upstairs. We were 60 feet underground. Yeah.
What were her characteristics of these warheads that you are protecting, that you have command of?
Yeah, these are nuclear weapons at the time. I forget how many kilotons, but at least 300 kilotons, maybe more, power of the force of each weapon. Yeah.
And what kind of feeling did you experience then? Fear, amazement about this accident?
I was shocked. I was shocked. I felt at first that it was some sort of an attack. We were under an attack of some sort. That's what I felt. So we were very concerned. But then when we realized what it was, we were just shocked. They did not, the UFO, although it shut down the weapons so that they couldn't be used, they did not destroy anything. They did not hurt the weapons themselves. We had a inertial guidance system in the missile warhead, and all they did was upset that guidance system so that we would have to reorient the missile. So we had to send maintenance crews out to each of the missile sites to reorient the missiles on target. Yeah.
And why do you have no doubt that this is an UFO and not some object from Earth or something, some kind of experiment or maybe?
No, we asked, first of all, we asked our commander if this was some sort of exercise or some demonstration of some sort. He said absolutely not. But the object was able to do things that no airplane could do. It flew very fast across the sky. Stop. Dead stop. Reverse course.
And this is the story of the guards?
Yes. Story of the guards. And plus, as far as we were concerned, what it was able to do was send a specific signal through 60 feet of earth and concrete. Invisible signal, penetrate the cables we had, penetrate the cables and send a specific signal to each missile to upset a particular piece of equipment.
These cables were not connected to anything else?
And they were connected to individual missiles separately.
I mean, only the command post and the missiles, that's yes, the only connection?
That's correct. That's correct. So there was nothing that we knew that could cause this. And even the Air Force admitted at the time they couldn't understand how this happened. The conclusion was that it was external generated signal, like I described, from outside the system. It wasn't an error inside the system. And that it was, I think, extremely unlikely that this should happen or could happen. They could not explain it. They've never been able to explain it.
And after declassifying the documents about this case, you requested them, and what was written there? Did you read the reports about the accident?
Yes, what I just described came from a report that we received when I asked the government to send us reports. I received many reports, and I'll show the report how it stated that this is impossible, and they could not explain it.
And why your story wasn't featured in the Blue Book project?
Well, Blue Book had secret files in addition to publicly available files. It had secret files, and it was probably in there. I don't know for sure, but one of the reasons these incidents were not reported was because there was an ongoing investigation about UFOs called the Condon Investigation. And that was happening at the same time as this incident occurred. So the Condon Investigation did not want this to be investigated by their own investigative team. Basically, it was a cover-up because they did not want this released.
And why are they watching us, after all?
Why are the extraterrestrials watching us?
Yes, and why they do that things?
They're very concerned about our nuclear weapons. They are concerned because my incident that I described is not the only one. There have been many, many incidents similar. The extraterrestrials are concerned that we have nuclear weapons. They're concerned about the possibility of nuclear war for many reasons. Of course, it would be very destructive to our civilization.
And why actually did you decide to speak about this to the public?
I feel it's my responsibility because I was a witness to it, and I'm responsible to inform the public, and that's why I've been doing it. This is not a matter of making money or being famous or anything else. I'm just trying to inform the public of the reality, number one, that we are being visited by extraterrestrials and that they are very concerned about our nuclear weapons.
And did you have some other similar cases in your career? Do you know about something else?
Well, I've had other experiences, yes. I don't know if it's appropriate to talk about it here, though. My research, I've researched it over 20 years now. And so, yes, we have contacted other military officers who have had similar experiences.
And I read about a case in which a launch missile was disarmed during an experiment, like in flight. Could you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, this was 1964 out of Vandenberg Air Force Base. This lieutenant, Robert Jacobs, I think his name is, was filming, videotaping a launch of an Atlas missile with a warhead. This was a simulated warhead. It wasn't an actual warhead, but they wanted to check out the guidance system to...
Like a training flight.
A training flight, a guidance system to the Pacific Test Range out in the Pacific Ocean. And so he videotaped it, very high-resolution videotape at the time. And they came back and saw the videotape. And here was the nose cone, the part that re-enters the atmosphere. And here was this UFO flying circles around the nose cone and sending beams of light at the nose cone. And this was on videotape. It was confirmed by his commander, a Major Mansman. But the tape was confiscated later by the CIA. So
nobody's seen it?
Nobody in the public has seen this, but Mr. Jacobs has come out publicly and discussed this, yes.
And wasn't included in the Blue Book project? Or
I don't think it was included in Blue Book. Again, Blue Book had claimed at first they had no secret files, but they actually did have many secret files, and this was one of them.
And how the Condon investigation ended, conducted by University of Colorado, which $500,000 were spent.
Yes, yes. So it ended, Condon declaring that the Air Force should not worry about investigating UFOs, that it was an inconsequential problem. And so the Air Force decided to use that as justification or reason to declare that they would no longer investigate the UFO question. Now, that was the official position up until last year. Now, last year, this secret organization within the Department of Defense, it was disclosed that they were indeed studying the UFO question for at least 5 years. But I think it was much longer than that, and the man supposedly who was in charge of that, Luis Elizondo, recently stated that it's still ongoing. Of course, Department of Defense of the United States is still studying the question of UFOs.
And since when were the first sighting of UFOs over military bases documented?
Well, Roswell was a military base. It was near Roswell. Yeah. Walker, it's now Walker Air Force Base, but that was 1947. But even before that, UFOs were seen over Washington. There was a base there, Hanford, Washington. There was a facility there that was producing plutonium for the first nuclear bombs. And UFOs were hovering over that facility. There were actually military witnesses that went out in fighter planes to chase the UFOs away. And that's been documented. That was 1944.
And all these documents are covered somewhere? I mean, it's hidden from the public?
No, it's not hidden. No, it's not hidden. The information is out there. It's public, and that's part of the issue. The public needs to research. If there are skeptics out there, there's good places to research these documents and incidents.
And what about the government? Why they don't provide this information?
Well, the government. I think initially the government did not disclose for fear of how it would affect society, and also because they had no control over these objects, so they could not, they would feel uncomfortable stating that, yes, this is real, but we have no way of controlling them. We don't know how to protect ourselves or defend ourselves from these objects. But that was early on. I think now the reason that the governments don't release information is because they have accumulated secrets about how these objects operate and the technology, and they're using that technology probably for military applications, probably selling that technology to other countries. So there's this enterprise going on between countries of these secrets, and so we're talking about greed and power as the main reason these secrets are not told to the public.
So you think the U.S. government and the Russian government, for example, are in some kind of conspiracy about this?
Yes, they cooperate. And not only the U.S. and Russia, but countries all over the world, I think, are coordinating information in a secret organization I call the UFO cabal, where information is exchanged for maybe a price, maybe in exchange for other information. And so I think there's this kind of a secret cooperative agreements between governments.
Or maybe they're preparing for some future encounter with the aliens.
Yes, well, of course, if the military is involved, they're always thinking of aliens as the enemy because they have better equipment, better advanced equipment technology. So they're the enemy, obviously. But no, I don't think they are the enemy. I don't think there's an intent to invade the Earth by force. Actually, I think they're here to help us evolve into better conditions, human conditions. Yeah.
How do you think, who will make the decision to tell the public, I mean the military or the government, because they should cooperate about this topic, about aliens and some future encounter they're preparing? Because if it happens, everybody should know, right?
Everybody should know. I think the public has a right to know because it affects everybody. It'll affect all of us. So we definitely have a right, and that's why some of us have been working so hard to disclose and talk about this. I encourage everybody to get involved in this subject. There's information that people are trying to organize, for example, a declaration in the United Nations on the reality of this. There was a recent meeting in Russia involving people from all over the world trying to formulate an organization within the United Nations. And once the United Nations accepts the reality and maybe makes a proclamation, I think the public will get more involved, and the media will become more involved in discussing this in a serious manner and not as some kind of a joke.
So there's something going on right now behind the curtain.
Yes, I think so. I think so.
Between the governments or just the U.S. government?
I don't think the governments, you see, I think the secrecies are embedded so deeply within the government, intelligence agencies, for example, that they don't want to let go of their secrets that easily. It's going to take a public outcry, a public, demand to reveal the reality of this.
And how do you think, how long we are from this meeting with aliens? 5, 10 years maybe, or less, more?
I have no way of answering that question because I think the aliens, want us to evolve to a better condition. By that I mean to evolve to a position where we're not so concerned about our nation, our countries, but we're concerned about humanity as a whole, and that we work together to resolve our problems. And one of those problems is nuclear weapons. How do we get rid of those nuclear weapons? Because as long as they exist, we are in danger of destroying ourselves and the planet. We fight too many wars. Our next war may be over water or food, who knows. But somehow we've got to be able to evolve peacefully and work together. So
this incident was like a reminder for the humanity to stop using nuclear warheads and nuclear weapons.
To stop threatening each other with nuclear weapons, to get rid of them. Because nobody wins a nuclear war. Nobody wins a nuclear war.
And these warheads still exist?
Many.
Many?
Thousands.
Not destroyed?
No, thousands of warheads held in the United States. Those missiles are still ready to go today. In seconds, they can be launched. And in Russia, and in other countries.
What kind of technologies do you think they possess to move so fast and transfer from one place to the other?
Well, there are different theories because they go so fast that we can't understand how they can be in the craft and accelerate over 500 Gs, force against their bodies at the speeds they're traveling. And the inertia forces. How are they able to travel so fast, stop, reverse course? Some people have talked about them disappearing in front of their eyes, just disappearing. So they can do many things that we don't understand yet. There are theories on how this could work, excuse me, but it's all speculation at this point.
Why do you think the UFO still didn't make official contact with us yet?
Well, I think they want to see us evolve to so that when we are evolved in the way I described about working together, and they want to see us come to the point where they feel safe making contact with us, and then we can join the cosmic community of other intelligences in the cosmos. But I don't think we've earned that right yet. We have not earned the right to join them because of our behavior. And so I think they want to help us. I think they're here to help us, and I hope we can achieve that and make progress.
And you're saying that there is a lot of misinformation. How we could distinguish information from disinformation about these topics? Because there is a lot of people that talk about this, but maybe they're just misinforming people.
Yes, like I said, I think there's an international cabal, and part of their program is to spread disinformation or confusion about the subject. There are too many people out there that are speaking about this by speculating, throwing out ideas, which just confuses things. We need to hear from witnesses like myself and others who have had experiences and draw conclusions based on facts and not speculation. That doesn't help us win the hearts and minds with the public on the reality of this subject.
If you have experience of a close encounter of the fourth kind again, and you have the opportunity to communicate with aliens, what did you ask them?
What is their agenda? What is their program for us? What do they expect in the future, and how soon can we accomplish the point where we will have open contact? That's what I would ask.
And where they come from, or how?
Well, the technology, yes, of course, I'd be curious about that also, but that would be later if they would share some of the technology with us. Because we do have an issue with using fossil fuels, and we need better ways of using our energy resources. That would be helpful.
Do you think that they could give us some new technology for humanity that we could use to get rid of this whole energy crisis that we have right now with the fossil?
Yeah, absolutely. They don't use the same kind of propulsion systems that we use. You never see a trail of exhaust smoke.
Yeah.
I do have pictures showing a black ring when they leave very fast. I've got photographs. I show those.
That's on the ground?
No, that's in the air. You can actually see, I've got two photographs, actual photographs of a black ring, but I think that was left behind by the craft as it left at high speed. I think that black ring was something that was attracted to their surface by our atmosphere. So it was probably some sort of carbon residue in the air that they left behind.
We are looking forward to this meeting with aliens then, in the near future maybe?
Well, I'm hopeful. I think that there's more and more information that will be coming soon. Very dramatic information. Just this morning there was disclosure, a new announcement that this man has made contact with an alien civilization using faster than light communication techniques with his equipment, and he can show that he has made contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. So this is brand new. It was announced today.
And he wasn't working for the government? Or?
No, he's not working for the government. He's got his own company, independent of the government.
That's why we hear about that. So I think this is a great ending for our conversation then.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for this interview.
You're welcome. Happy to do it.